Hi there, this is Ben from Tunessence, and in this video we're going to go over how to find notes on the fretboard. So we're going to need a little bit of theory for this. The only idea we really need is the idea of a half step. So in the Western music theory system, the smallest distance we have between two notes is what's called a half step. So in music theory, if you're counting through the notes in half steps, you just go through the alphabet from A to G and then start over again. And then in between each of those notes, you have a sharp or a flat note. So you have A and then A sharp, and then B. Now, there's a couple spots here where there's no sharps. From B to C, there's no sharp, and then from E to F, there's no sharp. That's why if you look at a piano keyboard, there's two spots where there's no black key between two white keys. The black keys are the sharps, so between B and C there's no black key, there's no sharp. And between E and F there's no black key. On the guitar there's no black keys, but we still have to remember not to do E sharp and not to do B sharp, because there's sort of no such thing. So it goes A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, and then G sharp. And in the article below this video, that's all written out, so you don't have to memorize it right away. So using just that simple music theory idea, we can then find any note anywhere on the guitar. So we know that in standard tuning, we're tuned to E, A, D, G, B, and E. Well, if you start with your, let's say, the low E string, and we just play it without pressing anything down, we know that's an E. For every fret that you go up, you're raising the pitch by a half step. So if open is E, first fret is F. Remember, there's no E sharp here, so we just go straight to F. So E, first fret is F, and then F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, because there's no B sharp, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then we're back to E again at the 12th fret. Same note as where we started. That's actually why on the guitar you've got your double dots marked at the 12th fret. That's an important spot to remember because that's where the notes just start over again. Okay, so on just that one string, we have all our notes placed in just half steps as you go up. Now the notes always go in that order, they always go in that same order of half steps. So to do this on another string, you just count through the half steps again from whatever your starting pitch is. So on the 5th string our starting pitch is A. So then first fret is A sharp, second fret is B, and then straight to C because there's no B sharp. And then C sharp, D, D sharp, E, etc. all the way up the guitar. So you can do this for each string. Now, it's going to take you a while to memorize where all those notes are. After a while you do. You become so familiar with the guitar that if you want to find a G, you can find it in several different places on the guitar. But to start off, I think it's a good idea just to learn one string at a time. The best one to start on is your low E string, because your high string is also tuned to an E. So on the low string, if you've got E, F, F sharp, G, on the top string you're also going to have E, F, F sharp, and G. The low E string and then your A string right next to it, those strings are used most often to find where to place a chord shape. So it's good to learn the notes on those two strings first. First the E and then the A string. Now that's still a lot of notes to memorize. So let's use the way the guitar is set up to help us out. On most guitars you're going to have dots placed at the 3rd fret, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and the 12th. Now we already know that the 12th fret is the same as open, so we don't really have to work for that one. But the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th, if you can just memorize those 4, then the notes in between are going to be easy to find, right? So on our low E string, 3rd fret is G, if we count up in half steps. E, F, F sharp, G. Our next dot is A, right? G, G sharp, A. Our next dot, A sharp, B, is B. Our next dot, B, C, C sharp, is C sharp. So we have G, A, B, and C sharp. You just have to plain memorize those. G, A, B, C sharp. G, A, B, C sharp. Now it's only 4 notes, so it won't take you that long to memorize. But if you can remember the notes of those dots, it's going to make your life way easier when you're trying to find where to put your chord shapes on the guitar. So now if I'm playing power chords and I need to figure out where to put my power chord, if I know those notes, it's going to be really easy. If I need a G power chord, well, I know my first dot is G. There's my G power chord. I know if I need to go to a B power chord, my third dot up here at the 7th fret is a B. So there's my B power chord. So that's really going to help us out. You'll want to do the same process for your A string. So your dots on the A string, 3rd fret dot, which is the first dot that we have, is C. Then D is the next dot, E is the next dot, and then F sharp. And then of course your double dot is just A again. So you want to memorize those dots for both of those strings. That's really going to help out when you're learning your chords. So we have G, A, B, C sharp on the E string, and C, D, E, F sharp on the A string. Now eventually you can do that for all 6 strings. Just memorize your dots first, and then finding the in-between notes is easier. But start with your low E and your A string when you're first learning notes. Those are going to come in practically handy, basically right away.